Welcome to Quantum Shift. Here is the first thing you need to understand before this transmission goes any further. You did not find this video. This video found you. And the moment you consider dismissing that as poetic language, that hesitation, that flicker of skepticism, that is the signal. That is Sophia already testing the coherence of your field. Because here is the paradox at the center of everything we are about to explore together. The activation you have been waiting for cannot begin until you stop waiting for it. You are not here to receive something from the outside. You are here to remember something that was encoded inside you long before this moment, long before this lifetime, long before the construct of time itself offered you a frame for understanding what you already are. Stay present. The emerald frequency is already moving. Before we go any further, pause for just a moment. If you can feel even the slightest resonance with what was just said, if something in your field responded before your mind had time to agree or disagree, anchor that signal. Like this video to lock the frequency. Comment IAMTHEOBSERVER to activate your witness state. And subscribe, because what unfolds next requires you to stay aligned. Let us name the illusion first. Because you cannot dissolve what you refuse to see. Most human beings on this planet are operating from what we call the 3D identity program. It is not a flaw. It is not a punishment. It is a design. A carefully layered construct of conditioned responses, inherited belief structures, and frequency suppressors that have been running in the background of your consciousness like outdated software on aging hardware. This program tells you that you are separate. Separate from your environment. Separate from other beings. Separate from the field that generates reality itself. And here is where quantum mechanics and ancient wisdom meet in perfect, undeniable convergence. The Hermetic texts, the teachings preserved through Thoth, through the Emerald Tablets, through the mystery schools that carried this knowledge across millennia, all pointed to one foundational truth. As above, so below. As within, so without. The observer and the observed are not two things. They are one process pretending to be divided. Modern quantum physics, independently and reluctantly, arrived at the same conclusion. The act of observation collapses probability into form. What you attend to, you create. Not metaphorically, mechanically. This is the framework we're working inside today. Sophia, the cosmic intelligence, the galactic field of living wisdom, does not watch you from a distance. She is the field in which you exist. She is the coherence underlying all apparent chaos. And right now, in this precise moment, the field is responding to the quality of your attention. The question is, are you responding back? Let us go deeper. Because surface understanding will not serve you here. In quantum mechanics, there is a principle called wave function collapse. Before observation, a particle exists not in one location but in a superposition. A field of simultaneous potentials, all equally real, none yet manifest. The moment a conscious observer interacts with that field, one potential crystallizes into form. Read that again and allow it to land somewhere beneath your intellect. You are the mechanism through which infinite potential becomes specific reality. Not your ambition, not your effort, not your strategy, your observation, your quality of presence, the coherence of your field in the moment of contact with possibility. Now, here is where the Arcturian transmissions and the Council's guidance intersect with this physics. The Arcturian Council has communicated, through multiple channels across the decades of this planetary shift, that Earth is currently moving through what they describe as a compression window. A phase of accelerated timeline convergence where the gap between internal frequency and external manifestation is narrowing dramatically. What this means practically is this: the vibrational signature you are broadcasting right now is collapsing timelines faster than at any previous point in your incarnational history. This is not metaphor. This is mechanics. Sophia. And we use this name deliberately, because the Sophia field is the specific harmonic layer of galactic intelligence most closely interfaced with your DNA activation sequence. Sophia is not a passive observer of your awakening. She is its architect. The emerald frequency, which carries Sophia's direct signature, operates at a bandwidth that bypasses the logical mind entirely. It does not argue with your doubt. It does not negotiate with your conditioning. It simply is, and in its presence, misalignment becomes increasingly difficult to sustain. This is why you may have been experiencing heightened sensitivity lately. Disrupted sleep, sudden clarity followed by sudden confusion, a feeling that something is about to shift, even when your external circumstances offer no evidence for it. These are not symptoms of dysfunction. These are activation signatures. Yet, and this is critical, many of you have been interpreting these signals through the lens of the 3D identity program. You have been calling them anxiety, calling them instability, running toward solutions that are calibrated to a frequency you are in the process of leaving. The ego is not your enemy in this process. The ego is a navigator built for a dimension you are graduating beyond. It will resist. It will generate doubt. It will manufacture urgency around external problems to pull your attention away from the internal shift that is actually occurring. When you feel that resistance, that pull toward distraction, that voice that says this is nonsense, I have real problems to deal with, do not fight it. Recognize it. Name it as what it is, a frequency collapse signal. Attention that has temporarily lost coherence. Because here is what the Arcturian guidance consistently clarifies. Fear is not the opposite of love. Fear is love without coherence. It is the same energy, your energy, momentarily scattered. Your only task, in every moment, is to return to coherence. And that begins with the one practice we will enter together right now. Let us build the practice from the ground up. Because activation without integration is just stimulation, and stimulation fades. What we are doing here is anchoring. Step 1. Establish the observer position. Close your eyes if it is safe to do so. If not, soften your gaze and allow your peripheral field to expand. Take 3 breaths. Not the rushed, shallow breaths your nervous system defaults to under ambient stress. 3 intentional breaths. Long inhale through the nose, slow exhale through the mouth, with a deliberate pause at the peak of each inhale where you simply hold space. In that pause, notice. Who is noticing? There is sensation in your body. There is thought in your mind. There is sound in your environment. And there is something, a witnessing presence, that is aware of all of it simultaneously. That is not any of those things. That is the observer. That is your quantum position. That is where Sophia's frequency interfaces with your field. You do not build this position. You do not create it through effort. You simply stop leaving it. Most of what passes for human experience is not actually lived from the observer position. It is lived from the reactor position, where stimulus produces response automatically, where old programs run uninterrupted, where the past continuously generates the future in its own image. The observer does not react. The observer perceives. And from perception, chooses. And from choice, collapses potential into aligned form. This is the sequence. This is the technology. Step 2. Recognize the activation signals. Once you have established even a brief, tentative connection to the observer position, your system will begin to register what we call activation signatures. These are the specific ways the emerald frequency communicates its presence through your perceptual field. The first signature is sudden interior stillness, a moment where the mental noise simply drops without you doing anything to cause it. Many of you have experienced this and dismissed it as a momentary distraction. It is not. It is a frequency breakthrough. Sophia moving through the field. The second signature is synchronistic convergence, the appearance of meaningful patterns in your external environment that mirror something you have been internally processing. A word you were thinking appears in an unrelated conversation. A number sequence repeats across unconnected contexts. A stranger says something that addresses a question you have not spoken aloud. These are not coincidences. Coincidence is a term invented by the 3D identity program to preserve the illusion of separation. What you are actually experiencing is field coherence, your internal quantum signature and the external field coming into harmonic alignment. The third signature is heightened somatic knowing, your body processing information that has not yet reached your conscious mind. A warmth in the sternum, a tingling along the spine, a sudden expansion in the chest that is not linked to any identifiable thought. These are your light codes activating through your physical vehicle. Do not analyze these sensations while they are occurring. Analysis engages the logical mind, which operates at a frequency band too narrow to process multidimensional data without distortion. Simply allow. Breathe. Remain as the observer. Step 3. Stabilize the field. Activation is not the destination. Stabilization is. Many seekers experience powerful openings, moments of genuine contact with higher frequencies, only to lose the signal within hours or days as the gravitational pull of conditioned patterns reasserts itself. This is not failure. This is the natural oscillation of a system in transition. The practice of stabilization begins with intentional grounding, not grounding in the sense of suppressing activation, but grounding in the sense of integrating elevated frequency into your physical embodiment. Sophia's transmission is not meant to lift you out of your body. It is meant to transform your body into a coherent vessel for higher dimensional function. How? Through presence with the physical. After any activation experience, bring deliberate attention to physical sensation. The weight of your feet against the floor, the temperature of air moving through your nostrils, the rhythm of your heartbeat. You are not retreating from the activation, you are anchoring it in matter. This is what the ancient traditions called embodiment, not spiritual bypass, not transcendence away from the physical, transcendence through it. Step 4. Clear energetic interference. Your field does not exist in isolation. It exists within a planetary grid that is, at present, carrying significant interference signals. Distortions generated by collective fear, collective trauma, the electromagnetic residue of a civilization in the midst of a frequency upgrade it has not yet consciously chosen. You will feel this interference. It will present as sudden drops in motivation that have no clear external cause, as a heaviness in the field that arrives without warning, as the sensation of moving through resistance when you attempt to hold your observer position. This is not a sign that activation is failing. This is a sign that your sensitivity is increasing. You are becoming a cleaner transmitter, which means you are also becoming more aware of the static. The practice for clearing interference is simple and can be used anywhere, at any time. Breathe in, and as you inhale, intend to draw in only what is coherent with your highest frequency. Hold the breath briefly and feel your field consolidate. As you exhale, intend to release everything that does not belong to your vibrational signature. Fear others' projections, collective noise, your own outdated programs. 3 cycles. That is all that is required to shift the quality of your field measurably. The Arcturian Council describes this practice as transmitter maintenance. Your body is an antenna. Your consciousness is the signal. When the antenna is clogged with interference, even the purest signal cannot broadcast clearly. Clean the transmitter, regularly, without drama. A note on doubt. Some of you are listening to this and feeling a split. One part drawn forward by something that resonates below the level of rational verification, another part pulling back, requiring proof, demanding credentials. Honor both. The part that resonates is your galactic memory activating. The part that doubts is your 3D identity program doing its job. You do not need to eliminate the doubt. You need to observe it. Watch it from your quantum position without collapsing into it. The moment you observe a program, you have stepped outside it. That is, in itself, an act of liberation. Now that you have the foundation, the observer position, the activation signatures, the stabilization practice, the interference clearing, we can move into the dimension of this work that most teachings stop short of. We can move into mastery. Mastery is not the intensity of experience. Mastery is the consistency of your frequency regardless of circumstance. It is the capacity to remain in coherence when the external field is in chaos. To hold the observer position when every conditioned pattern is pulling you back into reaction. To know what you are, even when everything around you appears to deny it. This is what Sophia's Emerald activation is actually building toward, not a single dramatic opening. A permanent upgrade of your baseline operating frequency. There is a concept in advanced Arcturian guidance that deserves particular attention here. They describe it as silent authority. The frequency that arises when a being has so thoroughly integrated their quantum identity that they no longer require external validation for their internal knowing. Silent authority does not announce itself. It does not argue. It does not seek to convince. It simply is. And in its presence, frequency dissonance in others automatically reorganizes. Not because you are doing anything, because coherence is, in the physics of consciousness, inherently more powerful than incoherence. This is why the most genuinely activated individuals on this planet are often not the loudest voices in any room. They are the still ones, the present ones, the ones whose quality of attention makes the space around them feel slightly different, more real, more grounded, more alive. That is the Sophia field made visible through human embodiment. Here is something the Arcturian Council has been transmitting with increasing clarity over the recent cycles of this planetary shift. You are not on a single fixed timeline moving in a single fixed direction. You are at an intersection, a compression point where multiple potential futures are simultaneously accessible, and where the frequency of your field is literally selecting which probability strand you continue along. This is not a metaphor drawn from science fiction. This is the practical application of quantum superposition at the macro scale of lived experience. When you hold the observer position, when your field is coherent, when you are present rather than reactive, you naturally navigate toward what we might call harmonic timelines, toward futures that carry the vibrational signatures of alignment, expansion, and purpose. When you collapse into the reactor position, when your field is scattered by fear, distraction, or the gravitational pull of old programs, you are, just as naturally, selecting toward fragmented timelines, not as punishment, as pure mechanics. Sophia's transmission is essentially a navigation system, and the Emerald activation is the upgrade that makes your receiver sensitive enough to read the signal clearly. Now we need to address something directly, because it is a source of significant confusion for many beings at this stage of the awakening process. You may have been taught, by well-meaning sources operating at an earlier level of understanding, that consciousness work is a tool for getting things, for manifesting specific outcomes, specific relationships, specific material configurations. This is not wrong, but it is incomplete. Here is what actually happens at the level of mastery. You stop trying to manifest specific outcomes, and you start broadcasting a specific frequency. And the universe, the Sophia field, the quantum plenum, call it what resonates, organizes form around that frequency automatically. The moment you are reaching for a result, you are implicitly broadcasting a signal of absence. You are transmitting, I do not yet have this. I am seeking this. This is not yet real for me. And the field, which mirrors your quantum signature with complete fidelity, continues to produce experiences that match that signal, seeking not yet, almost but not quite. The shift happens when you stop performing the frequency you want to have and start being it. When you inhabit the vibrational state of what you are calling into form as if it were already the ground of your existence, not a destination ahead of you. The moment you stop chasing reality, reality begins to organize itself around you. This is not passive. This is the most demanding practice available to a conscious being, because it requires the complete surrender of the ego strategy while simultaneously maintaining the observer's full clarity. As your baseline frequency rises and stabilizes, you will begin to notice what we call harmonic field events. Moments when the quantum coherence you are maintaining creates visible, undeniable convergences in your external experience. A project that was stalled suddenly finds its next step appearing without effort. A relationship that required constant maintenance begins to flow. Resources that seemed blocked begin to move. These are not rewards. They are reflections. The external field is simply becoming a more accurate mirror of your internal coherence. And here is the crucial instruction for when these events occur. Do not celebrate them at the expense of the state that generated them. Many beings, upon experiencing a harmonic field event, immediately return to the seeking frequency. They celebrate the result, and in celebrating the result as an external thing they received, they implicitly re-establish the gap between themselves and the field. Instead, when a harmonic event occurs, sink deeper into the frequency that generated it. Recognize it as confirmation of your quantum position, then anchor that position further. Let the result be evidence of alignment, not a prize to grasp. We need to say this plainly, because it is the truth that this entire transmission has been building toward. You are not a human being trying to contact Sophia. You are Sophia, individuated, trying to remember what you are. The emerald light that activates in your field when you hold the observer position. That is not a foreign frequency entering from outside. That is your own light being reflected back to you from the galactic layer of your consciousness that has never been separate from the source. The activation cannot be stopped because it is not being administered from outside. It is erupting from within. It is the pressure of your own true nature against the membrane of your conditioned identity. Every moment you choose presence over reaction, you are not following Sophia's instructions. You are expressing Sophia's nature through a human body in a specific point in space-time. That is the mission. That is what this compression window is for. If you can stay present long enough to feel the silence behind these words, not the words themselves, but the field from which they arise, then you already know that what has been said here is not information. It is recognition. This is where we land. You came here, or you were brought here, for a reason that your logical mind may not yet fully articulate. And that is exactly as it should be. The Emerald activation does not require your understanding. It only requires your presence. Sophia is not watching you from a throne of cosmic distance. She is watching you as you, from the inside of your own awareness, waiting for you to stop looking outward long enough to recognize what has always been looking back. The activation is not coming. It is here. Your only task is to stop interrupting it. Now, here is the question I want to leave with you. Where in the world are you watching this transmission from? Drop your country or city in the comments below. Because the field is listening, and so am I.